Hey everybody, this is Nicholas Live, and with me is Will Walker, the equities expert and ex-professional Hollywood actor who got into crypto maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And you're currently an advisor for cryptocurrency NoLimitCoin. And we just want to talk about briefly about some things that are happening right now in the crypto universe and some pretty awesome milestones I've seen that NoLimitCoin has coming up. Now, first of all, lots of people say how Bitcoin being pretty steady at 10,000 almost seems like a bad thing compared to the previous high of 20,000. But I'm actually very happy with this stable consolidation, if you want to call it, at 10,000. I think it's a really good thing.
Well, Nick, I agree with you for different reasons, but, not to just get fixated on price, but in any new disruptive asset class, whether you consider it a commodity, a currency, a utility platform, all of these things go into the blockchain, of which, of course, NoLimitCoin is part of, and a big part of it, and certainly making great strides in their space of esports and fantasy sports and online activity. Legal activity. But, it's great because we've had all kinds of gyrations and certainly lots of different noise out there going on from different governments and different opinions and coverages. But look at what's on the front of the cover of the latest Fortune magazine here, which is one of the oldest, most revered financial magazines in the world. Not only this country, but in the world. And of course, Bitcoin, how high will it go, and the different usages and things like that is all over it.
It is
including
huge.
The front cover. It's huge. So once again, being an old Hollywood guy, actor that turned into covering companies and disruptive technologies like NoLimitCoin and other, companies that were forerunners in cable TV and media, as well as telecommunications, cellular telephones. I was fortunate to be around when all of those things gave birth. And I see the same thing happening all over again with a different, much bigger space in the cryptocurrency, digital currency, digital blockchain space. So not only for currencies and commodities, whatever the government comes out and decides it's going to be classified as, and they will, the blockchain and the utility usages and things like No Limit that are cutting and making incredible strides in helping utility usages be able to shop and use them every day for things that they want to do or have to do, whether it be ordering dog food or playing an online game, legal game somewhere that is of their choice. This is going to be the future, and it's here now, and I'm just proud that No Limit is really making such huge strides in being part of that in their space, and certainly making it easier and more applicable for people around the world to join in and take part in that and participate in the esports segment. So this is really great news. Lately I've been a little out of it because this is a conference season. I've been covering a lot of conferences, invited to come and attend and cover conferences. I was at Coin Agenda here in Las Vegas, which was a 3-day conference recently in Las Vegas, was a biggie. Then the WCEF, a 3-day conference in San Francisco.
Wow.
About 3 weeks ago. Nick Szabo was the keynote speaker there. He's mentioned by Hitachi and in the white paper for Bitcoin, the original one. Some of the guys that have been around and in it and believed in it a lot longer even than myself were keynotes at these different conferences, and there's more coming. So when you see not only the number of conferences, but when you see the quality of attendees, not just the speakers at all these conferences that I'm privileged to be able to attend or be part of or cover in my world, it's very exciting because you've got all the major banks, you've got all the major TV stations, you've got all the major studios, you've got so many different groups there that want to capitalize, learn more, and certainly position themselves in the blockchain and certainly position themselves with growing companies, especially ones that already have a public platform like NoLimitCoin. So it's very exciting to see the level. And also, there's no less, I think, in February alone, there's no less than 10 and probably 4 or 5 that I've been invited to personally, from Europe to New York to Florida to the West Coast, you name it, including Asia. There's no less than 10 that are packed. They just had, of course, a big deal at Davos in Switzerland, and that was covered by some of the biggest financial media people in the world. And I had some partners that were there, and the whole deal was about, ETFs, ETNs, blockchain, many different subjects. So when you have a wall of money, prestigious old money and new money coming into this space, just from a capital standpoint and a utility and coverage standpoint, it's inevitable that things will have to, be, that will give it a huge advantage to make all the advancements that are currently happening now by great companies and like NoLimitCoin and others that are, carving out and making it easier and easier for people, everyday people, to be able to use their products and enjoy them and take advantage of them. So it's really exciting. It's amazing how fast it is coming. It's a wall of activity, a huge wall. As I've said before in our talks together, I called it a tidal wave before. I don't know what to call it now, but it's in that realm. So very exciting.
Yeah, and speaking of all the products that are coming to market, there is so many things adopting blockchain itself, and some of the big things that I see NoLimitCoin doing is, and their fantasy sports platform is just adding sport after sport after sport, and there's like basketball, the NBA coming, there's fighting, MMA coming, cricket, and even Major League Baseball. So it's just everything that used to be done off the blockchain is right now being moved, but by all these different tokens, and it's just a race of who can grab most of the market. And I just see this that blockchain is right now at the peak of its publicity, and it's just doing very well. Now some people may look at the price and think it's not, but the price doesn't always make sense, which is the weird part, right?
Yeah, and that's a good subject. I'll just stop right there. Right now, we're in the process of turning the weekend, what I call the weekends, and many people do, that cover different companies and different disruptive technologies and things like that, like I have for many years in many different spaces. So it's going from the weekends now, just like in Davos, and all the big funds and people are there, and hedge funds and things like that around the world. It's already legal. ETFs, which are like mutual funds, are already legal in Sweden and parts of Europe where they held this conference. And they're morphing around the world where the governments are, learning to deal with it and legalize it and put in stipulations, which is going to happen and should happen. It's a good thing for all of us and that type of thing. So the weak hands are shifting to the strong hands. And that doesn't mean that the retail people and the smaller people are going to be left out. They're not. But it's great to see all of the, institutions and bigger companies and, Overstock, IBM, I could go on and on, take advantage of, of the blockchain and position themselves around the world, especially these international companies and funds that are already operating this. So it's a great transition here as we're bringing in these big, strong, and, we're going from the people that, this and that is happening, and, I read about this, or I don't know, and, and maybe get nervous or whatever, which is normal. But this is a normal transition into a major dynamic in the whole evolution of a huge emerging asset class, international asset class. So,
and not only is it emerging, but it's also it's constantly being made easier for people to jump in, who are new to this. And what NoLimitCoin did is, they had a way for to get NoLimitCoin directly with a debit card, which I think exceeded all the expectation they had so far, right?
Yeah, I hear, from Raphael Grossworth, the CEO, I hear great things that, people are adapting to it and great numbers, and that's certainly exciting. And like I say, the more utility usages for anything that people want to do or have to do, whether it's food or dog food or it's, playing online games, it's all the ease of utility, of streaming utility usage. The people that figure that out, like No Limit has already done, and moving rapidly into even more areas to offer that and more appeal, those are the big winners. Those are definitely going to be the early big winners in that, because it's all about the eyeballs, it's all about the usage, it's all about the votes. If you're a politician, I won't get into that anymore, but it's always about the eyeballs and the votes, and that leads to future solid prosperity for everybody, whether it be a company, a person, or or a politician or a country. So those are all exciting things that No Limit is forging ahead and making apparent. One thing I wanted to touch on that you touched on, and I did want to say, because I have many people that are connected into the media world that cover sports like basketball, football, and different things. TV viewership is down right now 20%.
Yes.
Ads are down 20% for traditional viewership. Actually, digital ads and digital streaming, which is where it's all going or has gone, is growing at 20 to 30%. Now, these are my numbers. These are huge online. I mean, these are huge media numbers that the big national and international networks are going by right now, because once again, you and I talked about this earlier, kind of youth must be served, and they all want to reach that 20 to 30-year-old audience for many, many reasons. For their utility usages, whether it's be drinking beer or selling corn chips or or other things. So it's really amazing how, No Limit and companies like that have a tremendous appeal to all ages, but certainly, the streaming video and the digital ads and the digital world, streaming world, is where everything is going. And all the traditional huge giants in media are scrambling to get up and keep in that world. The ad agencies, the networks, everything. So I think this is an extremely great advantage point for utility usages for No Limit Coin. I think getting into the cricket is brilliant. I've already put out some great tentacles or calls to my connections in Mumbai and in Delhi, where I believe No Limit's going to have a development office in the near future. That's exciting, and they're already very excited about cricket coming. Cricket and different sports, soccer, of course, and things like that are extremely appealing to people in those countries. So it's very exciting, and that's Asia again. That's the 800-pound gorilla, along with India
and China.
In China, Asia in general, China, Hong Kong, you break into that market, which I know the Super League over there with soccer and everything else already. Yes. No Limit has WeChat and is on WeChat. I know Johnny Chan is really famous over there, well connected, is one of the ambassadors and doing a great job. I understand from him and Raphael. So and I have a number of contacts over there too that are watching and excited about getting involved and welcoming No Limit and some of the games that will permeate there.
Yeah, especially with the China Super League that's coming, means that they haven't really touched the Chinese market yet, and once they do with this Chinese Super League, they're very, very big into soccer, and fantasy soccer is just going to be a possible big win over there. Now, they also have Johnny Chan, which is the legend indie master of the poker world, and he's just a Chinese superstar.
Yeah. Here's a little old fact. One of my friends and people that I've been privileged to meet is David Falk. And David is the world's biggest sports agent in the world. He represents Michael Jordan since he was in college, and he represents most of the top coaches in basketball and different sports, and different, not only basketball, but many sports. He represented for years, I don't know if he still does, but he represented the #1 badminton player in China. And the guy's world famous when he did a live badminton tournament that was streamed or whatever. I believe he had over, he would have 5 or 10 million and over 100 million immediately jump on for his badminton tournaments, because he was the Chinese badminton champion for years, superstar. So you never know what's going to come down the pike with No Limit and with the connections that, that we all have, that wants to get into this world, that No Limit is definitely at the forefront of and leading the charge.
Yeah, and it's a really, really awesome how they not only do they have this credit card integration, but they have this Alipay, which they're gonna put into circulation for a easy way to get into NLC from the Chinese market, and also WeChat payments, which I haven't even heard of, but I heard they're really, really big in China because it just makes it so much easier and more, mainstream adoption is where it's all at, right? And yeah. Not even mentioning,
and that's the key, mainstream adoption in less steps. Anything with less steps to let the end user participate in at whatever level, even if it's in some of the free games or whatever they're going to lead with, is huge. That's everything. That's market share.
All of this is coming up in the 2018, so I think it's going to be a very, very interesting year for anyone who's paying close attention to this coin or already, is a part of it. And the cool thing is, when you're, part of a coin, it's already like this company is public, because, these, are not shares of the company, but it's basically almost, somehow directly connected, with this one big platform, and you're already a part of it by, having this coin. And not only, will it be easier to get it, but there's plans for a debit card that has NoLimitCoin for actually spending as well. So you can basically almost use NLC2 instead of cash, it seems, right?
Well, I mean, anything, like I say, anything that expands market share and makes it easier and less steps for the end user to use something utility that they're going to use anyway or want to do, it's in their everyday life, that incorporates their behavior in an everyday life pattern. So instead of, once again, if it's easier to use, if it's certainly simple and duplicatable, then it's going to get into the behavior pattern of any end user that likes sports or likes this or likes that or whatever, likes to win prizes.
Yes, you definitely want the people.
But that's market share, and that's what really will move the needle. That moves any needle for any company. And certainly it's going to be a very, very exciting year for that, because certainly there's going to be, potential for lots of growth from many different avenues for No Limit Coin. But that's really what moves the needle, Nick. So I'm very excited about that. It's territory, it's new games, it's new usages, it's new users, and incorporating the new users into a behavioral pattern that makes sense, that they want to enjoy and employ on a regular basis. When you've got that, boy, you have a dynamo. You have a dynamo. So
I was actually reading some of the technical stuff and how they're planning to integrate this debit card, in this 2018 year. Basically, they just want not only this is going to be not only exclusive only for NoLimitCoin, but when you put NoLimitCoin in this wallet, which will be what's basically backing this card, and as you use up this debit card, to spend it like cash, it's gonna deduct and sell your NLC for you automatically, all integrated. But not only like is it like all directly connected, but that funds that's being backing the card, it's being staked, because NLC2 is a staking proof of stake coin, which does 4% staking per year. So just by having your coin on this card, you're getting you can also stake with this card. So just by having a card, you're getting 4% on the NLC that you haven't spent yet. So it's a very cool way to kind of combat some of the fees that some of the old, I mean not old, but some of the other, I guess, crypto cards are having, because other crypto cards have to do this as a service, and they have to make a profit margin for their crypto card to be functional. But NLC is just doing it as a revenue neutral project, meaning it's just covering the cost, and plus it's giving you the staking, so it's almost